Don. It is my great pleasure to be with you all at the 13th American Freedom Alliance Hero of Conscience Awards on this happy occasion. And we do have much to celebrate. America has a record number of job openings, which is great news if you've recently been fired for telling the truth. We've got the lowest unemployment rate in America since 1969, the lowest black unemployment rate since records begun, and the narrowest gap between black and white unemployment in history. Neil Irwin of the New York Times said, "We've run out of words to describe how good the job numbers are." That's from the New York Times. And there's more good news too. I finally got to meet Mr. Brandon Strack. Or Mr. Walkaway, as I like to call him. I like to imagine him saying it in the way that one might talk to a small dog. Walk away, walk away. Brandon was a hairstylist, an aspiring actor, and he voted for Clinton. The first two offences are forgivable. Many of you will know I get nervous around plastic surgeons, hairdressers and dentists. I fear they will be observing my suboptimal British assets with disdain. At a party just the other day, a plastic surgeon of tabloid fame actually started describing what he would do with my ageing British face if I let him at it. He all but got out his blue marker pen and started marking me up. Haggard, my mum calls it. I told him what I would do with a certain part of his anatomy if he didn't walk away from this fabulous old dragon and fast. And it's good to laugh. I'm conscious that we spend much of our time together being very serious about the hard truths that we face. Our Western culture is threatened like never before, and I'm cognizant that I bring many of those hard truths from the road in the less friendly parts of this planet that I travel amongst. I sometimes wonder if I've become a bit of a doom monger. People see me coming and think of decay and death, like the Grim Reaper, but in sequins. But not tonight, oh no. Tonight, I am the bearer of good tidings of great joy. Angel Katie. That's not what either of my two husbands so far have said. And the good news from across the pond is that Britain is making a comeback. Yes, all four corners of it. From England to Northern Ireland, from Scotland to Wales, Boris Johnson is putting the mojo back into Britain. And if he can make it through the next few weeks, I believe there is hope for my country. And he came out swinging. On his first day in office, he fired every single anti-Brexit MP in the cabinet. And he fired a few sitting on the fence as well, for good measure. The message, don't sit on bloody fences. He has infuriated weak women, which I love. He dropped the investigation into a jolly good fellow MP whom I know, who removed a troublemaking climate change protester, a female, from an event by her neck. What other body part should he have grabbed? No answers from you, Donald Trump, thank you. And to cap it off, he's pissed off the number 10 Downing Street cat, Larry, by planning to bring his dog into number 10. But, you know, true to his best of British beliefs, he brought fresh faces to the cabinet. He brought Priti Patel, an Indian lady known for her support for the death penalty. He brought Sajid Javid, a Muslim gentleman and a defender of the free market. James Cleverly, a black conservative who has been pro-Brexit from the start. But the diverse cabinet of Boris Johnson isn't good enough for the left. Oh no. These migrants, or minorities, are no longer diverse enough. The left has called them Uncle Toms. said they no longer have the right to represent. Apparently, if you are a minority, you are not allowed to be conservative or successful, as evidenced by Biden the other day, who said, and I quote, "Poor kids can be just as successful as white kids." The only way you know that guy is not in a deep vegetative state is the fact that he's dribbling. Boris has entered office determined to reduce the shocking crime rates in London, where murders are at the highest for a decade. Last week, a police officer was scalped with a machete during a routine vehicle stop and search, and another was dragged to his death under a car. And still, we only equip our officers with the equivalent of Smints and a hand sanitizer. Boris is putting 20,000 extra police officers on the street. He's adding 10,000 extra police places and prison places, and extending powers to stop and search. Now, if you look dodgy, if you look weaselly, or if you look damn right stupid, you can be stopped and searched. Sadiq Khan is in for a rough ride. I fear it may be a little too late to change the trajectory of my country, where demographics alone dictate that I will be a minority white by 2035, and Islam will be the dominant religion in a decade. You know, I have 3 kids under 15. My Muslim friends all have 15 kids under 3. I'm kidding. I don't have any Muslim friends. Mohammed is the number 1 name in the UK. You want to guess what the number 2 name is? Muhammad. And I'm not joking. It's serious. But to stabilise the good ship Britannia and shore her up from sinking in front of our very eyes, Boris is making all the right moves. We are now just 74 days away from Brexit being delivered in the United Kingdom. After 3 years of waiting, Boris is determined to leave the EU on the 31st of October and take back control of the UK from the EU bureaucrats who currently tell us what to do. I couldn't be more happy. London's head will explode on the 31st of October, and I want to be right there to see it happen. People say to me, who's better? Who's better, Boris or Trump? Well, Trump, obviously. Trump has better hair. And Melania. And he retweets my tweets. Not to mention, he has buildings with his name on. My mum has a pair of Trump slippers. She has bunions and arthritis, and she dances around her bungalow in those slippers. Now, that is ambition. I stayed at the Trump Hotel a month or so back to give a talk to the Republican women of Virginia. Hands up if there's a Republican woman of Virginia here in this place. Have any of you ever met the Republican women of Virginia? Are you one? Oh, my life alive. We have one in the room. We need a round of applause. I love those ladies. Those ladies have the Star-Spangled Banner printed on their bathroom tissue. They love Trump like Silicon Valleyers love themselves. Put Republican women from Virginia in a Trump hotel, and it's like giving sugar to Canadians. They just can't handle that shit. I survived. I'm a survivor of the Republican women of Virginia. Me too. Or as I say to feminists, screw you. I'm recently returned from a trip to Israel where I was hosting viewings of my new documentary Homelands, which is about the anti-Semitism problem in France, in Germany and the UK, because many of my Jewish friends are being forced to leave, forced out by Islamist hate. But you know, Israel has so many things so very right. Firstly, it told Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar they were not welcome in their country. Which does kind of beg the question why America has not yet done the same. Secondly, it's built a bloody great big wall around itself, 3 meters thick and 8 meters high, tall enough so that a man cannot climb it and fall without doing himself serious injury. And it extends below ground as well to stop the terrorist rodents burrowing their way through. 3 meters thick. That's thicker than AOC. Israel makes families accountable for their children as well. If your Palestinian son attacks an Israeli, the IDF will tear down his home and they will blow up your house too for raising such a beast. And I say that is a glorious, glorious thing. And finally, Israel is committed to national service, not as some kind of conscripted servitude or penitence, but as a shared endeavour to help build a country, hardwiring its values into its young. Britain has just had its 9th year of military decline. Why cannot we give our young people such endeavour when they are lost and looking for purpose? There is much we could learn. At one point, I was hauled onto an Israeli tour bus by my host because someone thought it would be fun for me to give an alternative tour guide service. My Jewish friends were not quite prepared for Hopkins. But I am proposing that the American Freedom Alliance starts its own politically incorrect bus tours of America. Woohoo! Through enemy territory we go. Pelosi's Skid Row. De Blasio's New York nightmares. Are you up for it, Brandon? The official line in Israel is that the Dead Sea is the most dead thing on the planet. Jewish people have clearly never met Joe Biden. And the Dead Sea is also 200 metres below sea level, so low. Jewish people have clearly never been to DC, so much lower. But of course our fight is real, and it is serious, and it is urgent. In our efforts to fight back for our country and our culture, I fear the lowest blows are not the murderous acts of terror we face, but the slow death of a country meted out by journalists, editors, and their supplicant news anchors dealing with misinformation, disinformation. The New York Times changing a front-page headline because its readership found it to be insufficiently anti-Trump. The pivot from Russia to race that's now upon us. Morphing the truth of patriotism into white nationalism and then white supremacy before our own eyes. Declaring that if you are white and proud of your country, you're a white supremacist. If you're black and proud of your country, you're a white supremacist and an Uncle Tom. They're just conflating statements, without reason. I'm a woman with short hair, but I'm not a footballer. Or a lesbian, and I wore heels tonight to prove it. I'm a proud nationalist, and I am white, but I'm not a white nationalist. I want all people of every colour to be proud of the nation they call home. My children even own a black goldfish. We call him Bernie Saunders because he keeps his gold well hidden. We can also observe the difference in the media playbook with terrorist attack by Islamists versus terror attacks committed by a white guy with a gun. The response to Islamist terror is sadly well rehearsed in my country. Thoughts and prayers, a candlelit vigil in a public space, stage a Muslim solidarity event, Muslim women handing out roses, turn off the lights on the Eiffel Tower, warn that the main concern is now Islamophobia and hate crimes towards Muslims. Contrast this with the response to terror committed by a white guy with a gun. Blame Trump. Whatever happened to those thoughts and prayers? Blame the NRA. This was where the candlelit vigil bit was supposed to happen. Demand weapons confiscation or a weapons ban. Well, hold on a minute. Last time we just turned off the lights on the Eiffel Tower. No one talked about banning trucks from jihadis. Blame all white people. Call all white supremacists. Make white bad. And it's this last point that's most stark. After Islamist terror attacks, we are warned repeatedly, specifically, not to blame all Muslims, to the point a representative of the religion of peace feels confident enough to say of 9/11, some people did something. But after a white guy goes on a shooting rampage, all whites are to blame. Celebrity faces start apologising for their whiteness. It's not enough to simply observe the hypocrisy of the thing. We have to resist this narrative being hardwired into us, that white is bad, all other good. George Orwell's Animal Farm, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. The simplicity of the mantra is revealing in itself. And there is no doubt it is working. Take the mosque attack in New Zealand, filmed with the precision of a professional cameraman. In March, 51 Muslims sadly lost their lives in a mass shooting event in 2 mosques in New Zealand. By July, the government was collecting in their guns. We can all agree the attack was horrific. But the response in country was so geared towards Islamic supremacy, it could have been crafted by the caliphate themselves. Synagogues and churches closed their doors. The Prime Minister and female politicians covered their heads. Muslim greetings and prayers replaced the country's own. The Islamic call to prayer was boomed out across the country and in Trafalgar Square too, in the heart of London. Mass mourning events attended by British royalty. Anyone involved in the incident given immediate citizenship and all of their family members. The parliamentary prayer was changed to remove the words Jesus Christ in order to be more inclusive. And a weapons ban was immediately imposed, and New Zealanders were told to hand in their weapons, which many dutifully did. For the cost of 51 Muslim lives, New Zealand became an Islamic outpost, prepared to cover its women, disarm its citizens, and change its prayers. If I were working for the Islamic Caliphate, not only would I be in real deep cover, but in a war against Christians and Jews, how would I assess such an outcome? It is incredible how willingly New Zealand knelt down, just as Britain continues to cow down before a religion seeking to change it beyond all recognition. How easy we relinquish our freedoms, and yet how hard the fight to recover them once lost. In Hong Kong, protesters gather in their millions to protest against a new law forcing extradition to mainland China for those suspected of committing an offence. Protesters endure beatings, tear gas, arrest, imprisonment, snatch squads, the real threat of another Tiananmen Square. And yet today, 1.7 million individuals still gathered to fight back for lest their freedom be taken away. And yet we seem to roll over, supplicant, proffering up our weapons, bowing our head to some guilt we were told we were supposed to feel. 2 legs bad, 4 legs good. America must fight right now with the determination of the protesters in Hong Kong, taking smoke grenades to the face or batons to the body. We must fight with the immediacy of those in South Africa preparing to make a last stand or to die in their boots for the love of their land. And yet we wait. They take our freedom to speak without penalty. Another voice is disappeared, and yet we wait. They ban weapons and confiscate guns wherever there is strength, and yet we wait. Will we wait as their installed leaders change our prayer book and our anthem, and new Americans imported for their votes applaud and vote them all the way to the mosque and the multi-faith prayer room on Capitol Hill? The time is now. The time for self-protection is gone. At Sandhurst, the Royal Military Academy, it's, I guess, the equivalent of West Point, but just better. we pushing my luck. You can go off people, Katie, is what my father said. We were trained under the Academy Serve to Lead. By serving our soldiers well, we earned the right to lead them into battle. But I think the Israeli Special Forces have it better. Follow me. I will only ask of you what I am willing to do myself. Follow me no matter what. Follow me even if it is painful. Follow me even when it hurts to be cut off by friends, to be ostracized by one's own children, to be forced out from places where we used to belong, asked to find another church or synagogue, suddenly uninvited. Follow me. And you know, that's why we're here tonight. It's why tonight matters. Because we have people with us, all of you, who will say exactly that. What we all try to do is a very lonely thing. It's so important to be together so you can all look around this room and know that you are not alone. We are many, and together our voices are heard. Karen says, each of us here believes in the unparalleled force for good that is Western civilization. That is our heritage, whether we were born here or not. Karen's activism was not appreciated by the few at her school. But you know what, Karen? It is appreciated here by the many. We want to show people the way brightly. When they go low, we want to be already on the high ground, asking them to come with us, to walk away. We are not judged by school administrators, but by history. And history will show us on the side of the right. Karen Siegmund is a hero of conscience, and she's a hero of mind. She says, follow me. I say, let's go. Thank you very much indeed.